Hey everyone, so I'm Treshawn Lillard, and my question is, why am I expected to act a certain way because of the groups I fit into? I'm a black man. I'm prone to gang violence. I've killed 3 people at least because of gang affiliation. I'm not really sure what gang affiliation means because I dropped out of school at 16. I sold drugs to help my single mother who was on crack. And last but certainly not least, I love Kool-Aid and watermelon. But to be honest, all of this is false. Except for Kool-Aid, I actually do like Kool-Aid. But I prefer cantaloupe and watermelon. These are all representations of stereotypes, negative stereotypes around African-American males. Everyone has to deal with stereotypes. It doesn't always have to be about race or gender, or it can be a wide range of things. Growing up, I always knew stereotypes existed, and I knew they were there. I just never paid attention to them. I never thought of myself as just another black boy. I thought of myself as Treshawn, the kid who grew up in church and whose parents wouldn't even let him off the porch enough to go talk to friends down the street because she was scared I might get shot. My parents taught me a lot of lessons. A lot more now recent because of the increase of black deaths. And a few of them are, my mom told me at the age of 13, she told me that I'm no longer just a little kid, and that people on the street wouldn't look at me as, oh, he's just a kid. They wouldn't see me as Treshawn, they would see me as a threat. Not only because of my skin color, but because of how big I am. My dad, he told me that my biggest crime driving would be driving while black. And I don't have to do anything at all. We were having a conversation about the recent deaths and how the police are killing everyone. He would tell me about that to give up my rights would help me secure my life. So me going through elementary school, learning the Constitution, having to pass the Constitution means nothing because I have to give my rights up to be able to live. Now, like I said earlier, stereotypes aren't only about race. I have a story. This is a story my mom told me about when she was in high school. She had this guy rival. They were both at the top of the class. They both were really, really smart, first, second, and first place. They were both rivals. They were going back and forth. They both asked for a recommendation from this same teacher, and the guy came to the teacher and asked for the recommendation, and he gave it to him over my mother, even though my mother had the higher rank and the higher grades. And when she confronted the teacher about it, he said he gave it to her because with the recommendation, she wouldn't do anything with it. She'll just become some housewife somewhere and get pregnant somewhere. And at the moment, she was outraged, and she couldn't really do anything about it. My dad, I asked him about this because what better way to know about the life of an African-American grown man by asking a grown man. So I asked my father. He told me about the time, it was recent, when he was outside watering the grass, and he seen this Hispanic lady. He said hi to her, and she started running and screaming. He was really outraged by this. He might look like a huge, he's huge, but he's actually a gentle giant. Another story is my dad was talking to a police officer, and when he was talking to the police officer told him, "Oh, you're too big. I might, if I were in a situation where I would have to fight you or shoot you," he said he would shoot him first before you fight him because he's too big. Now, a lot of people won't see this as a problem. They're like, "Oh, just don't think about it. These are words. Nobody really cares." But I did research. There's something called the labeling theory. The labeling theory is when someone puts a label upon you, that person starts to act in ways that make them more of that label. An example of this, it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a way. An example of this would be, there was a study done in an elementary school. They gave kids a test, all of them, the same exact test. And only people who know the results were the teachers. And they lied about the results. They told the teachers that some kids were higher and some kids were lower than they actually came in. They gave the same exact test to the same class at the end of the year. And the results this time, they told the truth. The results that this time were that the kids that they told the teachers that were higher, they actually did come in higher. And the kids that they said were lower, they actually came in lower. They concluded that the teachers in themselves, unsubconsciously, they pushed the students that they said would perform better, they pushed them harder. And the students that they thought weren't worth much or wouldn't amount to much, they just let them fall below the grading curve, I guess. And the solution to this, well, in society, there really isn't a solution. You can't really get rid of all labels because labels have become a part of us. So the first thing I said would be a solution is acknowledging there is a problem. We can't solve a problem without knowing there is a problem. So bring awareness to this. The second way we can solve this is make small conscious efforts to change. And last, I said we just know that this won't happen overnight. We have to understand that this has become a part of our society. And the only way to solve it or fix it is to make small changes. And we won't see it in our lifetime, but we can see it in our children and their children. And we can make their society better.